This is Troy Allen here with Gary Gianni over at the Dark Horse booth. We're, of course, at New York Comic Con, and we're going to talk about Hellboy Silence. So, first of all, I wanted to ask you, how's New York Comic Con treating you, Gary?
Oh, this Comic Con, the New York Comic Con is great. As a matter of fact, I was just telling someone, I'm enjoying this more than the San Diego Con these days. Yes, I think there's just a vibe here that I find more comfortable.
That's awesome. I mean, this booth is very comfortable.
I think there's more of a comic book vibe here that, of course, in San Diego, the tail wags the dog now with the movie industry. So, man, I'm very happy.
Awesome, good. Well, we're glad to have you here. So we want to talk about Hellboy Silence. And I wanted to find out, what can you tell us about it in detail, like your experiences with it and whatnot?
Yeah. Well, it was an idea that Mike had for years. And I'd say 5 or 6 years ago, he asked me if I would be willing to do one segment of Hellboy's narrative that he didn't particularly want to draw, or he felt I would be good at it. And I said, well, when we find a window of time, maybe we could do that. And finally, the planets lined up, and we were able to get this thing moving. So it's basically a riff on Moby Dick, with a lot of other kitchen sink things thrown into the mix.
A lot of Mignola-isms?
Yes, and what's nice about this is I was a little worried about it, if I can be honest. Mike's a friend of mine, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys, but working with your friends professionally, that can be complicated. But the two of us just managed to it was a seamless collaboration. It was almost like the way Kirby and Lee used to work, very organic. When we were talking about the ideas, he would tell me about things, and then I would say, well, what if we added this to it? And he'd go, oh, that's a great idea, but let's do this. And it sort of, just multiplied to where I really felt I was able to put a lot of my own personal interests into this thing too, and he seemed to be fine with it, and so it was this wonderful. I'd work with him on a heartbeat if it didn't take so long. This took me a year to do, so I'm not quite sure the planets will line up like this again.
When are we going to see the new title?
It comes out next April. It's a 50-page hardcover book, and it's all finished. I have it here. But it's scheduled for another, 6 months from now, I suppose.
Awesome. So actually, I forgot to ask you, are you a Hellboy fan?
I have been since the day I first saw the designs for Hellboy. Yeah, that was 21 years ago. I've known Mike a long time.
So you were at the early foundation of Hellboy. You got to see some advanced stuff.
In the early issues, I used to do a backup feature called Monster Men in his early comics. And I was delighted that he asked me to participate in the Hellboy series as far back as, 96, 97 or so. So we have this great working relationship, and we've both been on the same page with monsters and 19th century horror stories. So we're kindred spirits.
Match made in hell? A match made in hell?
Yeah, it is. A match made in hell, that's good.
So do you have any upcoming projects you want to talk about?
No, but I will mention something that I'm equally proud of that I finished right before Hellboy. I spent 2 years working on a project with George R. R. Martin. It was a prequel. Random House Publishing put out a book that I did 160 illustrations for, called The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and it's a prequel to his Game of Thrones series, Song of Ice and Fire. And that I'm equally proud of, and that's out right now. You can pick that up anywhere.
Gary, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been really good talking to you. It's been very informative.